Got it. Thanks for that clarification. Jacqueline, in that intro video, you say that the disability rights movement is the civil rights movement of our generation. How do you see that manifesting? I want to talk on in K-12 classrooms, but also college campuses, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
Like how are the education spectrum, so to speak?
Oh, yeah. I would first plus one what Becca already communicated to you. I totally agree with what we're thinking about when it comes to the disability rights movement. And she said something in the intro video that I think is the perfect moment in that there is no issue that is happening on this planet that doesn't disproportionately impact people with disabilities. And in that same case, that doesn't have an intersectional impact across so many different identities for kids and with young people with disabilities. And so when I think about this generation and how they grew up in what was, in education terms, the mainstreaming timeline that moved into the inclusion timeline and have now started to not only reckon but appropriate the term disabled and talk about themselves and recognize that they are an identity first person and language, that's when I think about this movement being so impactful because we have an entire generation of people who are in the seat to call the shots for themselves. So you mentioned earlier, for example, how important it is with the secretary as well as with Rebecca to have people with disabilities in positions that they can affirm and have agency over the supports they receive, the education they're receiving, the kind of instruction and curriculum that they're having access to. And that's why I've always said, like, this is the moment. The sense of urgency is right now because we do have a generation of people who are in the best position possible to advocate and have their own agency over those pieces, and to include the fact that if we involve individuals in the K-12 system in creating their IEPs with their educators at a developmentally appropriate age, where they are at the table in a seat directly communicating with the people who are most involved in providing that equal access and opportunity to free and appropriate public ed, then we have an entire generation of people who will go out into the world and then advocate for themselves in the workplace, in post-secondary environments, whether it's voc tech, two-year community colleges, four-year institutions, graduate school. You know, NCLD has an entire group, the Young Adult Leadership Council, of 18 to sometimes 26 and 30-year-olds who advocate for themselves and on behalf of our organization. And what they've always said is, if you give us agency, we will communicate to you what it is that we need, not just to